Yo, what it do? Welcome back to another episode of BUA. I'm your host, Heru Adamu. Here we talk love, war, politics, business, and everything in between. Black culture is global, black pain is monetized, and black division is profitable for everyone but us. Let's get into it. First, let's get into Dame Dash. He has something to say about 50 Cent's documentary that he recently put out on Netflix. Him producing this documentary has people split between accountability and exploitation. But the deeper question is, who benefits when black men tear other black men down publicly for profit? Let's take a look at what he had to say.
But that's so awesome, though, because I mean, you all were building.
So that's what I'm saying. There's so many bad things that are happening, but there's so many good
things.
And what I'd like to do is look at the good things and isolate the bad and heal it so it doesn't happen again, but never as a vindictive act to tear another man down when he's down. Yeah. And I know y'all as women don't think that's all right.
No, but
I know you'd rather see a white man tear a black man down than a black man tear a black man down.
But it has to be some level of accountability.
So why you ain't make the
You always talking about accountability with the black man not tearing the black man down, but who's gonna hold him?
I don't think it's about the man needs to be torn down.
Because
how about this? Like I said, look, I told you how I felt about that. Let's talk about me a little better. I want to talk about me.
Got it.
Dame. So now that you've witnessed the downfall of Diddy, who's next? Since you're saying that this is the time, who's next?
So let me explain.
They go after me.
Let me just talk for a second, please. I know you. So, from my graduation class,
Okay.
As far as administrators, businessmen, there was me. There was Puff. He's in jail. There was Irv. He's dead. There was Un. There's no more Un, really. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, Sugar's in jail.
Yeah. So would you?
I'm the only one left that was not a rapper, that was really trying to be a businessman from a young age. And I feel like because I was never tempted by things that were morally compromising to my manhood, because I invented pause, I never violated any of my moral codes.
Okay.
And I think, again, if you look at who's next, are you saying who's next from a white man or who's next from 50 Cent? Hold on. Now let's stop now.
Both.
Let's stop. 50 tried to tear down Irv. 50 tries to tear down Puff. 50 tries to tear down Jay. 50 tries to tear down me. Y'all think that's all right?
Why 50 so busy trying to?
We're not talking about 50.
But I am. What I'm saying is I didn't know who you were asking about. I'm like, because right now when you say who's next, because there's 50 that's always looking to tear a black man down. But
so would you
now
say
let me finish.
Well, we're gonna have to wrap
it. Shouldn't be me because I ain't got no money. Leave me the fuck alone.
But you just said you're a businessman with a lot of money.
Don't have money. What officers when you don't got money? They got loans.
So Dame, this is what people want to know.
Loans ain't right, Dame.
I know. I said what businessman you say got money. Why are you saying I'm not picking a side?
No, you're not.
Manipulating my
No,
words.
you are manipulating.
You're not understanding what I'm saying. You're saying what you feel, but it's not logical.
It's been a tear between accountability and exploitation. People think people think Diddy should be held accountable for his actions, but let America hold him accountable if they're the ones that's going to hold him in jail. If black people are going to have him accountable, we would have to house him in our own jail. So the whole point is 50 Cent is making money off of another black man being down when he could go make another documentary about Epstein. He could make a documentary about Trump. He can make a documentary about there being 76,000 missing black women in America. He can make a documentary about a whole bunch of stuff. But you decide to make a documentary about Diddy. Like, this is where the problem is. Yeah, blacks should hold blacks accountable. We should actually have our own jails, and we should house R. Kelly and Diddy, and we should give out their sentencing on what the actual penalty for the things they do are. We can't let other cultures penalize our black leaders, whether we like them or not. Who are we going to put in Diddy's position to own Revolt TV, which gave a lot of black people jobs and was one of the only black-owned media companies? I'm not saying Diddy's a good person. What I'm saying is that if we're going to hold ourselves accountable, we got to do it, not just profitize off of giving white people the luxury of tearing one of our black leaders down. Whether you like the leader or not, once you become a billionaire as a black person, you automatically become a leader. So This isn't about defending wrongdoing. It's about asking why our families become entertainment while others become footnotes. Let's zoom out globally. Marquette Burton sits down with Willie D and says what economists won't. Black culture is America's most powerful export. Music, style, slang, energy, consumed worldwide, yet rarely owned by us. The question isn't whether black culture is valuable. The question is, why are the creators not the beneficiaries?
What are your thoughts about, black males in regards to black men reimagining themselves since the advent of social media? And specifically reimagining their self-worth. And what do you think is some of the biggest misconceptions that black males have about, their lot in life?
I do also want to state for the record that people think like, oh, you talk about negative about women. Like, nah, I be across the board with mine. People don't do their research. But with regards to black men, and I'll speak about black culture as well briefly. Again, I said Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, Mike Tyson's, any of that, like we're very influential. But it used to be that we organically create culture in our neighborhood amongst ourselves, and then the culture gets commercialized, and then it gets projected onto the television. You can see it on MTV and BET, which is not black owned apparently, and you can see it and learn about it, but it's reflecting what's in the neighborhood. And others will learn about us from the television. I remember the first time I met some Germans, and they came to the United States, and they said, Marquette, I don't understand. Where are all of the black people? I was like, what do you mean? He was like, I see you guys so much on television, Will Smith, so many TV show, but in your country, it is not many black people here. They didn't realize that we're just that 10% of the population because our influence is so great. Now, I say all that to say this. It used to be black people have organic, real culture. It gets commercialized and then projected out to the world. People, the outsiders, learn about us from the media, good or bad. Now, Netflix produces images of black people, how the white liberals would want us to behave. It's behavior modification. And then they push the imagery down to the neighborhoods, down to us, the consumers. And black people are the worst in terms of nomophobia, phone addiction, and social media consumption. We're unproductive and idlers. So they push images of us back to us, and then they tell us who we are. We're not telling them who we are, they're telling us who we are. And that's where you got a Lil Nas X from. Because if you remember hip hop, and you're a rapper, you created hip hop history. I remember DMX, I remember, you watch a good battle, after the battle, Kata used the F word, and not to say that I support any of this kind of behavior, but it was hyper masculine. It's embedded in the culture. People say no homo. There's a certain positioning and posture of the black male identity and consciousness. Then how did Lil Nas X get created? Because I don't know in what neighborhood it was like, yo, I want to see a gay rapper in pink Ugg boots doing a music video in a jailhouse. Like, that's what I want to see right now.
Culture without ownership is just entertainment. Culture with ownership is power. Because we don't own our culture, we can't control the narratives. That's why a show like BUA is so important. And back to what we spoke about before, Diddy owned Revolt TV, which is one of the only black-owned media outlets in the world. So we're not controlling the narrative, so we can't control how we position ourselves within society. Hip-hop music is America's #1 export. So black people in America, if they lost a war to China or Russia, their blacks would be the spoils of war. We're literally America's biggest commodity. But black people don't know that. We have no ownership because we're so busy trying to fit in with other groups and be accepted by other cultures. And it's even worse from other cultures from out of the diaspora. Trinidadians, Jamaicans, Africans, especially Africans, like Trinidadians, Jamaicans, Bahamians, different people from different blacks from different diasporas, they actually understand. But there's a lot of African cultures especially, and that's a conversation that's been going on in the community, that they think that black Americans don't have culture. Like, when they really don't have any culture. If you mention Mike Tyson, Jordan, Anybody like that in China, they know who that is, but who are the African people that we know? What's the things that we get from African culture? If you go to Ghana, if you go to Nigeria, the girls are twerking, wearing American black clothes. I'm from Houston. I'm from one of the most diverse cities in the world. And you can find anybody from anywhere, Cameroon, Nigeria, Ethiopia, anywhere. And they all want to be like the American black. Don't get it twisted. The jealousy is real. The jealousy that other blacks from other diasporas have is real. We're the number 8 buying power in the world. If we had our own nation, we would be ranked number 15 in the world. But American blacks don't know that. They don't know their actual power. They would love to give it to another culture so they don't have to be responsible and accountable. So if they did have to go to war with China or Russia, they want the white man to handle that for them. They don't want to deal with irrigation, plumbing, social science. They don't want to deal with like the responsibilities, farming, education, institutions like, hospitals, schools, banks. They don't want to deal with that and be accountable. So they would much rather just put it on the white man because that takes too much work. But at the end of the day, what is the risk of that? This next conversation is uncomfortable, but necessary. T.I. sits down with Kirk Franklin and asks what many are thinking. Is the church still spiritual or just institutional? For generations, the church was our bank, our school, our safe haven. But today, people are asking, are we being fed spirituality or managed emotionally?
I've never been like a church person. You know what I'm saying? I grew up in a house with a strong, praying, tambourine bumping grandmama. You know what I'm saying? My auntie, strong, very, very strong in prayer. So I know how to pray and I know the word. You know what I'm saying? I know God is real and I've seen the presence and the hand that he's had in my life personally. Don't nobody ain't got to tell me that. But I just ain't never felt the connection with church.
Why?
Man, I don't know. It just ain't. To be honest with you, I don't think it's real. You know what I'm saying? I think that it's a business just like anything else, and it's a show just like anything else. You know what I mean? Just like you go to Broadway, you see a show. I feel like it's just like somebody standing up and public speaking, just like you get like a TED talk. And a lot of times they be putting a lot of cap on it. And when I say cap, I'm saying cap in their action. The word is the word, but sometimes they try and twist the word, make the word mean something, that will be personally benefiting to them, and not necessarily what the word mean, as its purpose. And that to me, because if you think about it, only times when you read the word, anybody know the word, and you study the life of Jesus Christ, the only time you really saw Jesus Christ lose his temper was in the church. He went to the church and seen what was going on in the church, seen how the church people were handling the word of God and what they were doing to manipulate it, to personally benefit, from the word of God. That's when Jesus got mad, flip a table.
Oh, that's when he flipped the table.
Yeah, flip a table. You know what I'm saying? And he had Jesus out here like he don't love hip hop. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? But that's why. Cause I connect with the word, like the true word, the spirit. I don't need no broker. I don't need no middleman. I don't need nobody to get my word. I done heard a preacher, I've been to church before, and the preacher say, come on, y'all, put into the collection plate, dig deeper, get your prayers past the ceiling. I say, hold up, wait a minute. Y'all telling me I got to pay this joker, you know what I'm saying, for my God to hear my prayer? Man, I'm out of here. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's unfortunate. Like that. Those moments are unfortunate.
So the church is just a big business. I mean, the church generates $2 billion a year, and we have no institutions, hospitals, banks. I think some churches in America lately, I've seen them open up banks and do certain things. So I think there is some progression in the black church, but it's more detriment than progression from the black church. Like he said, I mean, it's a nonprofit organization, so they're 501(c)(3)s, they don't pay taxes, and they're in bed with the state, because whenever you become a 501(c), you have to comply with the state. That's why you see all of these politicians in the church when it's time for voting season. And the pastor is a lot of the times working on the message to receive more funds, because it's a business at the end of the day. I mean, you might start off as a pastor and have actually like a good mentality, like you want to make change, you want to preach the word, you want to have Christ consciousness, and just help people out, preach the gospel, bring people into the church. but the machine will gobble you up. It's like being the president of the United States of America. Like Barack's the president, but he can't help black people because he's in a machine that's created to crush black people. You understand? So you trying to be a pastor of a church and be a good person, you might start out wanting to do that. But as you get in as a junior pastor, and your pastor gonna tell you, hey, we need to preach about giving a little bit more so we can get our money up. You're like, damn, how many times we gotta preach this? It's like, well, you gotta do that once a month. We need to pray about this. We need to do these. Don't read that part of the Bible. Only read this part of the Bible. Because we need some money out these motherfuckers so we can keep this going. You get what I'm saying? So I got to buy a new whip and a new Benz. And then when the pastor buys a new Benz or a Bentley or a Rolls Royce, people believe in him more. They're like, damn, pastor must know what the hell he's talking about. He drives a Rolls Royce. So it's getting really, really out of hand. So, you know, and not to mention, a lot of people have been saying that the black church is, especially in today's modern time, more predicated towards black women who don't have men, which the feminist movement has pushed and made happen. So there's no men in the house due to incarceration, the feminist movement, just the whole war on the masculine black man to begin with. Then you add the church where women are like, I don't need no man. I got my Jesus. And then the pastor is trying to fuck all the women in the church too. So you basically taking your woman to the church so she can look up at the pastor to tell you what you need to do with God. And meanwhile, he's trying to smash her low key. Pastors, they don't even preach on infidelity and these type of things because they don't want to talk about that. They don't want to get into that because they've done so much wrong that they don't even get into that. So they pick and choose what they even want to pastor about and what scriptures they even want to bring up in the Bible. Questioning institutions doesn't mean abandoning faith. It means demanding integrity. Now, let's talk double standard. Coach Moore at Michigan loses everything and the conversation gets quiet. The reality is uncomfortable. Black men are often punished more harshly for personal relationships, especially across racial lines. This isn't about morality. This is about control, optics, and unequal consequences. Let's see what Shannon Sharp, out of all people, had to say about this bunny hopper.
In a stunner, Michigan has fired his head coach Sharon Moore. According to reports by Dan Weissel and Adam Schefter, Pete Thamel added that the fine will be for cause. Michigan Athletic Director Wardy Manuel said in a statement that Moore was fired after an internal investigation revealed credible evidence of an inappropriate relationship with a staff member, which is a violation of university policy. Moore took over the full-time job from Jim Harbaugh, who left to go to coach the Chargers in 2024 after the Wolverines won a national championship. Remember, he filled in a couple of games when Harbaugh was suspended. He was the offensive coordinator and he was the interim head coach, and that's how he parlayed that into the job. Michigan knew about Moore's situation for a while and internally waited after the signing day period to take action, according to Josh Pate. Pate claims insiders have been expecting the job to come open for weeks, and now Michigan has likely already engaged in potential candidates. Ocho, Sharon Moore, it's alleged, it's being reported that someone was on the staff.
Yes.
The elevator to his executive assistant, end up having a relationship with her. If I'm not mistaken, he has a wife. I think he has a couple of kids, 2, 3 kids. We saw a situation with Ime Udoka. We saw a situation with Mel Tucker. It's happened. I think Rick Pitino had a situation like that. I think Bobby Petrino had a situation like that. What are your thoughts, Ocho?
I mean,
then I go to you, Joe.
You got to be careful. You got to be mindful. Obviously, at some point, when you're in positions of power, you almost somewhat feel invincible. Taking advantage and abusing that power, that said power, for those that work with you or part of an entity that you're a part of, and you think you're safe.
Yeah.
Think you're safe. You take all the right steps, you do all the right measures to ensure your safety, and that individual does hoping everything they can to make sure to protect you and what you guys have going on. But for some reason, every time a situation like this does happen where you think nobody can be able to pull back the covers or the layers on what you have going on, it always gets out every time. Because there's so many stories of these type of situations happening It's sad that it's come to this. Wife, family, embarrassment that they have to deal with. The young lady who's also a part of this, the embarrassment that her and her family are gonna have to deal with.
Correct.
And it kind of sucks. It sucks real bad on both ends for both parties that are involved.
So, I mean, we all know at this point, if you date a white woman and you wake up and she's next to you and she's angry, your ass is going to prison. I don't understand why we still have these problems. I mean, look at Shannon, bro. Like, out of all people. But, you know, justice isn't justice if the rules depend on who you are, you know, and what color your skin is. From Emmett Till to Shannon Sharp to Coach Moore, I mean, if a white woman is unhappy with you, the law is on her side. If a woman is unhappy with you in general, the law is on her side. But if a white woman is unhappy with you, of course the law is on your side. And I think they had been dating for a couple years or something like that. They broke up. And he tried to like reach out to her, but she was like denying him, and like he showed up at her crib or something. Like, this is where the issues arise. But I mean, this happens all the time. Like in the black community, domestic violence happens, but a lot of the time, black women won't really call the police on their man, even if they get beat. It happens. They do call the police, but a lot of times they don't. And it's interesting though. But if you beat a white woman or show up at her house unexpected, your ass is going to prison. So like, I don't understand why you would even deal with them. Not to mention, you know, these people are engaged in white supremacy, having jobs at like Michigan State, being involved. They feel like they're invincible. Like Ocho's right though. You do have to have some type of accountability to be a head coach. You can't just use your leverage to try to have sex with people that work on the staff. So I think she was on the staff, which is just out of line, and he should be held accountable for these type of things. But it's just interesting that, you know, you think you can get into a position of the white man and actually deal with white women without consequences. Like, they don't want you to deal with their women. They'll kill you. Only we be happy when our daughters bring a white man home. White people, even African people, Indian people, no other culture is happy when you bring a black man home. Like, they're like, fuck. You know, like, only we're happy, like, that you bring somebody home from another culture. But it's consequences to it. So, man, hopefully this man can go get another job one day and learn from his mistakes. But at the end of the day, almost every week, a new black man is in jail or losing $50 million. What did Shannon Sharp lose? Like $50 million for dealing with that young white girl? So the risk is heavy. You know, you can lose a lot of money, you can lose your job. Basically, if you mess with a white girl, you're going to lose some money or your job. So, like, this shit is hard out here. We don't end with controversy. We end with solutions. John Hope Bryant sits down with TMI to drop something we don't hear enough. Discipline is freedom. Business is protection. Ownership is survival. Unity without structure fails. Anger without economics goes nowhere. Let's see what John Hope Bryant had to say about business philosophy.
Right. Look, the Jay-Z's 444 album, that was a financial literacy album.
Oh,
That's
exactly that's amazing.
He said, I'm giving you $1 million worth of game for $9.99. Right. And he said, you know, what's sexier than a strip club? Credit. Mm-hmm. Right.
That's right. You all here like Michael Eric Dyson. You know, he know how to throw a quote from an album in the middle of a sermon and have you like,
he'll give you the whole song.
Yeah,
he gonna drop a whole Jay-Z song.
He's a good guy.
Mm-hmm. But we because we can go on and like I've been watching you for so long, and I'm just so enamored by the way that you simplify things, right? But the name of this topic we talk is called "It Ain't What It Supposed to Be," right? And there's a lot of people that post a lot of things online, and we have all of these. Exactly, exactly. So we have a lot of expert investors, and we have a lot of these people who sell illusions. And do you see a lot of people doing that right now? And tell us something that's an illusion that you see online that people are selling.
Everything you see online. I mean, we just need to knock it off. Like, look, 70%. I like math because it doesn't have an opinion. That's a Melody Hobson quote. I like giving people credit where credit is due. It's her quote. I wear it out. Look, 76% of all luxury goods are bought by poor people. 76. When I heard the data, I couldn't process it. I'm like, no, this can't be true. it's poor working middle class people are striving. My point is it's not purchased by the wealthy. That's my point. When you go look at the Louis Vuitton store and look who's in line during COVID and the lockdown, you saw the line. That was not wealthy people. It was us.
That's right.
Right? We're aspiring. No difference why somebody wants a Coca-Cola or they want an iPhone. Right? We got $2,000 iPhones. Don't have $2 in our bank account. A lot of social media is the psychologist that we never got, the shrink that we never got, the healing we never got. And consumerism, if we're not careful today, it's a new colonizer. Because they got your attention, you got your algorithms, they've got your focus, and if you're not careful, they also got your money.
John Hope Bryant talks about consumerism and where the black dollar goes to, because of course, like he said, 76% of all luxury goods are consumed by poor people. That's poor people of all different cultures, but black people being down 14% since year 2000 means that we're the poorest people. So we do a lot of consumerism, but at the end of the day, we really can't produce anything. So if we can't produce, of course we're going to consume. So we are producing. We just need to keep the dollars in our hands, shop for black clothes, use a black realtor, use black contractors, try to keep the black dollar circulating more than 16 hours. I think in the Jewish community, the dollar circulates 31 hands before it leaves their community. That means a Jewish person gets their hair cut. That person cut their hair is Jewish. That person goes to a Jewish store to buy some food with that money. The person that owns a Jewish store that sells food, they buy their produce from a Jewish wholesaler. That person, they get their stuff off a boat that's operated by a Jewish person 31 times. I think the next closest person to us is the Latino community, and I think the Latino community circulates 7 hands. So the black dollar circulates 16 hours. It doesn't even circulate a whole hand. It circulates 16 hours. So that means if a black barber cut some hair before 24 hours is over with, he's already taken the money and giving it to another community. He probably went to the Chinese restaurant to get some Timmy Chan's or some shit for lunch. And he took the money from a black person that got a haircut. As soon as that black exchange happened, he immediately gave it to the other culture. It kind of gets back into what Marquette was talking about with the PSYOP. We're like PSYOP through social media, where we used to create our own culture and put it out. We had businesses and we had to shop with black people. Now we become integrated, and because we become integrated, they have to now PSYOP us through all the Netflix, the movies, the social media, into not loving ourselves and loving everything outside of ourselves, which gives them more leverage to continue to control resources. So BUA isn't about picking sides. It's about picking a future. We don't have to agree on everything, but we do have to stop letting division be our default setting. Black people are global. Our culture is global. Our solutions are global. This is Black Union Address. Stay unified, stay intentional, stay dangerous. Economically, mentally, spiritually, and physically. It's Heru Adamu. I'll see y'all on the next one.